Hi, this is Sam. This video is going to be an attempt to show the path of how we do nothing. We document all the things we do. So first we seek, and since we're working in a group, number one is to indicate what we seek. And in this case, I'm looking for a literal, and the literal is the bracketed construct of nothing. Now, I already looked and I didn't find it, which is a reverse. I found nothing, but I'm looking for documentation of nothing. So I share with the group that I'm seeking nothing as a document, and then the next step would be to apply a name to that process. Instantiate document is an upper level process, which is a specification. In terms of the general approach, it's typecast. So instantiate document as a typecast is the type action called instantiate, and as an object, it's a type document, which is document all uppercase. But since we're going to start at a specification level, we're going to just reuse a prior event of instantiate document. And in this case, I'm going to apply the date and time to bring this into being as my now event. And I update the name so that now I have a named event wherein I'm indicating that I'm going to pack an event. And everything we do at the surface level is pack event. So we inherit a pack event effort that is a package that is an entity. We establish it as our now event, and we apply the proper mapping to establish it as an objectification of I am here present, and it indicates on the calendar so that it becomes visible. We'll consider the visible a tangibility of materiality, so that even though it's not tangible by the process of touch, the act that we can see it will manifest an entity so that it exists. And that's primarily what we're attempting to do. To be virtually here is to indicate and leave evidence thereof. So I have the name and I have the mapping oriented towards my own standing, my own calendar, and my own time zone. We're working with people in different time zones, so that's going to require we pay close attention to the time zone, the date, and the time. Otherwise, when we inherit, in this case, I'm inheriting an event from a person who's working in Philippines. And if we can see the artifacts, it appears that she's working on her own as the I. The I that evidences continual manifestation. I am here, I'm here, I'm here, but who are you here as? Until she inherits and uses events of others, she's self-absorbed, and all of her events have artifact pathways that are herself. So there's going to be little improvement or progress. It's only when we interact with others that we have the potential to both affect and be affected, and thereby either generate progress or be pulled back into an isolation that requires self-reflection. So in this case, I'm going to put my name, my mapping, and then I'm going to insert the name because we begin and we end as though this event stands, and I indicate as such, and it shows on the calendar. Just posting it and saving it's not enough. I have to verify, so I orient my view, and I have the expectation that it'll appear and others will see it, and here it is. Now this is going to be instantiate document with the event containing the focus, which is, in this case, it's to be document, and then it's the term nothing, but as a symbol. So what's happening is we're trying to instantiate a place and a point where we could link and relate and have a base. Most people are operating from a basis, which is a bias, as opposed to seeking to establish a base, which for us, we're accepting and embracing consensus as the source of definition. Inasmuch we're just doing a basic process of define word, and then we differentiate a symbol from a word, from a name, from a token, from a type. Each of these is a token, so that we see the token standing in place and a representation of the symbol, word, name, and type. And then we recognize that a type is a group, a word is a container for meaning, a name is an identifier that acts as a handle in order to attach and offer a path to whatever the focus is. A symbol is the essence of what is tokenized and bespeaks a representation, whereas the token represents the construct that contains that symbol. In as much as that's concerned, what I'm trying to focus on here is just establishing documentation. And we do that with a few precepts that become overwhelming. So I just want to establish standing. I'm here. I want to establish a relation and a link that I'm trying to establish nothing as existing, as documentation, so that it's documented, named, related, and linked, and it'll be established to exist in 4 aspects. And this we call objectivation. So that when we present that concept, the V represents presence. The F, if it was objectification, it's attaining or realizing an ideal. So the F is reaching forward to a future perfect tense, whereas the V is attempting to establish a present tense. So we'll be present before nothing as a name. If we go back, we expect that this back process as a counterclockwise symbol would take us from the name to the word. And if it works, it takes us and we expect to see the word. We identify a word as a name for a group of letters that contain a meaning. And then we go from this, and our expectation and hope is that we can go back from the word to the symbol. And then the symbol will be the token that holds the essence of what that conceptual abstraction seeks to impart. So the essence is, with regard to nothing, we're just going to use a darker background to symbolize nothing. And then we're going to have the named construct have a set of all those pointers that would relate to nothing, which would include space, a tab, and any other non-printable characters. So what's happening is I'm asking anybody who's engaged in assistance to alter their view of Google Documents so that they can select View, Show Non-Printing Characters, and manifest a representation of what's not seen when we engage with the document. And this would impart that we look at each of these spaces as having a material aspect. They matter in the sense that the nature of allowing for space to exist sets apart what we're focused on, so that we can differentiate not just the particular focus, but the aspect of the focus and the space that will give rise to a distinction that allows us to discern the aspect, essence, token, and the ultimate construct wherein we're relating. So that now we can see that language is not just a medium, but it becomes a calculus. And the inflection point is the recognition that it reflects what is not known. So when people speak, it's not what they're saying that conveys the message so much as what they're not saying, and what they say by virtue of the choice of the words that they select reveals and reflects where they're coming from in terms of standing. And then the standing we're having as a virtual manifestation of a place where we present ourselves and reveal whether or not we seek to understand. So that if we absorb that concept of consensus for meaning, we accept the definition of a given term And then we break that down into its elements so that we have a point that we can converge, and then there's no disagreement. This is alluded to in a quote attributed to Ayn Rand, where she said something in relation to there's no such a thing as disagreement or a disagreement is evidence of a lack of will to seek to understand. Because once you understand, you'll recognize that each person arrives at that position where they present themselves in a deterministic fashion. There's a reason and there's a consequence. And the reason that's present is a consequence of the path whereby a person followed a course. And if we don't see that in terms of, in a literal sense, the course, when you don't see the part that is not present, which is the not thing, and represented by the letter O, the course may manifest as a curse if we don't return to the source and acknowledge that which is not seen but is well known to have manifest in a deterministic fashion, step by step, to bring a person to where they stand. Thank you.